There is a peculiar disease that afflicts the United States of America, and it is not the one currently draining the wallets of the uninsured at some understaffed emergency room. No, this is a more insidious sickness, one that has metastasized in the corridors of power and the rotten chambers of Congress. It is the disease of deliberate cruelty, the ideology of sanctioned indifference, the cancerous belief that human suffering is acceptable so long as the stock market remains adequately inflated. And the vultures of American leadership are not outliers but symptoms of a larger rot, grinning through their performative piety and draping their depravity in the blood-stained American flag. And they stand as priests of a strange and sinister religion, one that worships suffering and calls it virtue, that hoards wealth and calls it divine favor. But do not overcomplicate this. Feeding hungry children and ensuring that the sick can see a doctor should not be controversial concepts. In any sane society, they would be the bare minimum requirements for civilization. But America, for all its wealth and all its power, for all its unhinged self-aggrandizement, is a country that has somehow convinced itself that kindness is communism and that empathy is weakness. And Voltaire wrote that every man is guilty of the good he did not do. And nowhere is that failure more evident than in a country that throws away food while children starve, that hoards medical advancements while people die treatable deaths, that builds monuments to billionaires while its citizens drown in debt. The scum also rises, Hunter Thompson warned us once, and indeed it has. It has bought itself a seat in Congress, has dressed itself in red, white, and blue, and convinced the masses that their suffering is the natural order of things. The American dream is little more than a bait and switch for the working class, a desperate scramble for survival disguised as opportunity. But we are capable of so much more. A unified people is our only salvation. The cruelty of this system is not inevitable, but merely the consequence of people who have chosen again and again to uphold it. And here's the bitter truth. We could fix this. We could have universal health care. We could end hunger. We could rebuild a middle class that doesn't function as a prop in political speeches, but as a genuine economic force. We could, if we wanted to, live up to the ideals we so arrogantly project to the rest of the world. But it would require sacrifice, and not from those who have already sacrificed enough. Not from the single mothers working 2 jobs, not from the families choosing between rent and insulin, not from the teachers begging for fair wages. No, the sacrifice must come from those who have gorged themselves on the spoils of this grotesque inequality, from the billionaires whose fortunes have been built on the backs of the underpaid, from the corporate executives who treat human lives as numbers on a spreadsheet, from politicians who have made sport out of cruelty. And it would require something else too, a public willing to fight for it. Because history does not change by the goodwill of the powerful. It changes when the people who have been crushed under the weight of that power decide they will take no more. But do not mistake this for optimism, because whatever fight is ahead will be brutal. The enemies of progress are well-funded, well-entrenched, and utterly devoid of shame. And they will call you radicals. They will call you socialists. They will call you traitors to the American way of life, but wear it like a badge of honor, because the American way as it currently stands is a machine built to grind people into dust. And if demanding food for the hungry and care for the sick is radical, then so be it. If asking that this nation finally live up to the promises it has made for generations makes one a traitor, then perhaps the real betrayal is allowing those promises to remain unfulfilled. But this is not a plea for kindness, it is a call to rise up, because the villains in this story will not change on their own. They will not wake up one morning and decide to care. They will not suddenly find empathy. The billionaires will not willingly part with their fortunes, and politicians will not surrender their power. And so we must take it from them. And when we do, when we feed every child, when we ensure that every person can see a doctor, and when we finally build a country that is worthy of the people within it, we will look back at this moment in history and wonder how we ever allowed ourselves to be ruled by such weak and small men. And so, let us begin the work to find still death.